This is my review of Box Plunge's DIY kit, which will turn any tub into a cold plunge. And this is Costco's inflatable tub, which I'll be using for this video. So the first question you might ask is, what is all this? So this is actually a product from Box Plunge, which is sort of a mix of DIY meets professional. And the purpose of this is that it allows you to turn really just about any tub into a cold plunge. Now, for this video, we are going to be using it with the Costco inflatable, but you could effectively use it with just about any tub, including a bathtub if you really wanted to get handy. But I, of course, don't recommend using this with a bathtub. The key to this product is, of course, these hooks. But what these hooks do is they essentially keep all of your hoses in place. So they make this setup just a lot more aesthetic and easy to manage. They're plastic, they're very firm, so you could fit them into other types of tub. As long as the tub isn't wider than these hooks, you should be pretty good to go. From there, this product also uses this proprietary solution of essentially connecting your pump to your filtration, which leads me to the most important thing out of this video. If you are using the solution, do not use it with the system on. Unplug it from the outlet before you jump in any single time you're going to be jumping in, as the pump is actually going to be submerged underwater and there is an electrical component to this. So, you definitely do not want to be mixing electrical and water. The other thing to note with this system is that you will need your own chiller as well as your own tub. So the system does not come with the chiller and it doesn't come with the tub. The Box Plunge company, they recommend the Rosita chiller, which is what I have here. It's from Walmart. But like I said, you could use just about any chiller with this. You just have to get new fittings, but everything else should work pretty well. And I'll, of course, be doing a separate video on the Rosita chiller, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so how the whole system works. How the system works is, first the water is going to hit the strainer, which is going to filter out any particles you have in your tub that you don't want to go into the system. It'll then hit the pump. The pump will then pass the water through the filtration, through this, I believe it's a 20 micron filter, and up into the tub, which is where it'll hit the chiller. Obviously the water will chill down in the chiller and it'll output and go back into the tub. So that's how the system works. So this is our pump, and this is just a plastic bottom piece we're gonna have to attach. Done. Obviously the purpose of this bottom piece is to control the wire so that this is able to sit flat on the ground like so, and the wire is not in the way. Next up, time to connect our filter housing. Nice big filter housing. So this is sitting flat like this. Now we're going to connect. So this is how it'll sit in the tub. And lastly, this is what they call a skimmer socket. This gets placed on here. And I think that's it. Built nice and quick, nice and easy, good directions. This is gonna be our pump unit. Okay, time to get this chiller unboxed. Look at that, comes with a little pump. All right, so we have our chiller. This is the Rosita chiller. First time using it, very excited, hear good things. We can see here we have a temperature dial right in front, little LCD screen. And then on the back we have the fans, pushing air out. As per the instructions, this will go here with the fans facing out. And we have two hoses of different lengths. One is a little bit shorter, one is a little bit longer. All right, so this is my longer cable. This is the clamp that is provided. So this is gonna clamp right on here. And the longer of the two is going to the inlet of the chiller. So that will basically connect there. And then the shorter, this is gonna be obviously kicking the cold water back into the tub. So that will get clamped down right here. Now to get these connected, Got some Teflon tape. Never really been great at this. Next step, we have to connect the hoses to the clamps. And finally, this mesh gets wrapped around the wire. I think this is just for aesthetic reasons, maybe to protect the wire a little bit from the water, but not exactly sure. So this is it. This is the setup. The last step is to install the ozone that they have provided. They did not, however, send me the timer, so I actually had to buy this separately on Amazon. I think it was like $13, and I'll add the link. What this will do is basically, it's just a mechanical timer, which will make the ozone run in increments that I set. So, for example, you use this dial to set the time. So right now it is like 3 o'clock. So right here it's 3 o'clock, and then you basically just push these down for when you want the ozone to kick on. So if I wanted to kick on at around midnight, which I would recommend, I'm just gonna push these down. And these are in, I believe, 15-minute increments. So we can see that these are pushed down. So this ozone will run for a half hour at midnight. One more thing to note about this ozone generator is you see a lot of the ozone generators out there on the market using what's called a Venturi injector. And the purpose of the Venturi injector is that it actually uses the water that's already flowing through the system to suck the ozone from the ozone unit itself, which is great. But the reason why this doesn't use a Venturi injector is that this ozone actually has a built-in pump, which means that it does not need a Venturi injector. So basically this unit will actually pump the ozone directly into the tub. And like I said, it will operate on the schedule that I set for it, somewhere around midnight every night for about a half hour is what's recommended. So in order to set this ozone up, it's really just as simple as this tube output here, and then we're just going to connect this. They have also provided this piece. So what that'll do is that it'll actually hook onto this cable, hook the ozone right on there. Just nice little cable management. Perfect. Box Plunge definitely makes it very, very easy to get this thing in good working order. You know, the clamps are great. They just kind of do all the heavy lifting for you. You know, as far as like a DIY project, it's hardly a DIY, especially even if you were to buy like a top of the line plunge, you're still gonna have to do a little bit to set that up. You know, my setup time was really, really short. You know, the instructions that they gave were great. So like I said, you know, I think this is a perfect solution for somebody that wants to, you know, get into the DIY game, but maybe they're a little afraid of it. You know, Box Plunge just really makes this thing so easy. The biggest issue that I see with this solution is that it really is just so important to unplug the chiller and more importantly the pump before getting into the tub, because you know you do have this electrical wire going into the tub with the water. You know, mixing water and electricity is never a good thing, which leads me to my next point, which is that, you know, this chiller and the pump, you know, these chillers and pumps, they're actually made for aquariums. You know, they're made for fishes that want cold water. So these pumps and chillers are actually made to run 24/7. And I am under the impression that you are going to be taxing the chiller and the pump by turning it on and off every time that you want to plunge. You know, so you're actually going to be putting a solid amount of wear and tear on your stuff. I do believe that the startup cycles for the chiller and pump are actually where most of the wear will occur. So you are going to be putting these things through more use than if you were to just be running the system 24/7. Yeah, they're not really made to be turned on and off. But, you know, not that big of a deal if you ask me, considering the fact that, you know, this is like $200. and the pump itself is probably another like 120 bucks. So, you know, you can swap these things out as you need to, and you're still saving a ton of money by using a solution like this. So if you were to, you know, run through the chiller or pump, which I don't even think you will. I mean, I think that you're gonna get great use out of these, even though you're gonna be turning it on and off. Like I said, it's not meant to be turned on and off, but I think you can. You know, I've never tested it before, so maybe if I use this for like a year or two, I'll make another video and just see how well the chiller and pump are holding up. Not that big of a deal, as nothing really lasts forever in this life, but something to note. Obviously, all the cables, they are pre-cut for the Rosita chiller specifically. So if you did want to use them with a different type of chiller, like the Active Aqua Quarter HP, that's the chiller that I have over there. You know, you would have to cut the cables a little bit, and then also this piece is too narrow, so you actually just need to find a piece that fits that. So you can, you know, fit it for the Active Aqua Quarter HP, just gonna take a little extra work. I think this really is a great solution for someone who's trying to up their cold plunge game but doesn't want to spend too much money. It's perfect for someone that just wants to dip their toes into DIY, pun intended, but they're not exactly sure where to start. So once again, this whole thing, very, very solid solution. All right, so we got the machine outside. Everything is in position. Obviously haven't hooked up any of the electrical components yet. So for filling it up, I have this pre-filter on the hose right now. I always recommend pre-filtering your water just to start off with the cleanest water possible. And obviously one of these, it's like 20 bucks on Amazon. One more thing to note about the setup is that we can see here the chiller is right here, and actually the interface for controlling the temperature is actually on the inside. So it's a little bit of a pain to get to. You know, obviously if I had to pick, I would choose for the interface to be on this side, but this is how it's recommended to set up. One more thing about the Rosita chiller that I just found interesting is that there's actually no dedicated input or output. Basically, whichever one the water inputs to, it will just output from the opposite. All right, so we got the tub fully filled up with water. It's time to plug this bad boy in. So I have this splitter here. So I have one electrical from the pump, the other electrical from the chiller, and then this is going into a GFCI protector. The one most important thing about this plunge setup is that you do not want to be plunging when this thing is plugged in, because there is electrical going into the water. We never want to mix electrical with water, but nonetheless we have this GFCI protector that will shut off the system if there is a trip. All right, we got some action, some bubbles. All systems seem to be working. And we can see if I pull this up, that's our water return coming right out of the chiller. Chiller currently operating at 46 degrees. Like most cold plunges, when I first turn them on, I do get a little bit of a leak, so just tightened up some of these connections right here. This is the only place that I saw any issues, but yeah, just tightened up these, and it looks pretty good to go. Time to get in. All right, so obviously before getting in, turning off the chiller there, unplugging the chiller here. So now there is zero electric to the unit. Let's do it. Ooh, that is cold. All right. Whew. Not too bad. You know, we have all this hardware down here, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to be too big of an issue. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out our website at plungereviews.com.